What happens when you take two guys from New York who absolutely love to talk and give them a license to rant? You get your hosts, John Peasy and Mikey Sausage.
How you doing?
I'm doing well. I feel good.
You look good. I know that you're eating a bunch of gummy bears they can't see on that chair that you're sitting on.
It's not a bunch. I have a little here and there. I don't want to start. If I don't have them, then I have 50. If I have a couple here and there, I'm good.
You're a better man than me because I either have them all or I have none.
Well, I know. I mean, I don't. If you really don't allow yourself to have stuff, then you go crazy, right? So, I won't do that. I mean, it's bad enough as it
Let me
is.
just grab this little. Let me grab my crack pipe. I'll be there in just a little bit here in a minute.
You can never get the comedian out of you.
No, I know. I'm always in trouble. As a matter of fact, I was working the Rocking Horse Ranch last night. Please, I'm not bragging. So I'm working the Rocking Horse Ranch. I did 3 shows. And I was working the crowd with a dummy, and people were laughing. And this lady, a lot of people came over at the show because I was just working the crowd, having a good time with families there. And I did some stuff that was like, on that edge. And a lot of people come over and at the end say, that was hilarious. We had so much fun. Thank you. We haven't laughed in a long time. And I said, please go upstairs and tell the staff and everyone upstairs. And they go, why? I said, because I'll say one thing to somebody and they'll say, oh, that was not right. And they'll go upstairs and tell how bad I am. And if somebody thinks it's funny, please go tell them it's great, because you're always on that little edge where, the humor could be taken in many different ways. And clearly that's not my intention behind it. More
but that's the
importantly,
way. It's the way of the world. It's always the minority that's the loudest, right? So if you got that whole Twitterverse, right? There's like 1,000 people got insulted, but 1 million people love what you did. Those 1,000 people will rule the day. So
that's exactly what's been happening.
Yeah, because the personalities of the people that enjoyed what you did are not the protesting, marching, complaining type of person. They'll just say, you know what, I didn't like that guy, I'm going home, I'm never going to see him again. When another person has got to go and say, I'm going to ruin this guy's life. This guy sucked. He was nasty. He was racist. He was that. It's just miserable people.
Hey, by the way, a ham and eggs walk into a bar, and the bartender says, I'm sorry, we don't serve breakfast here. All right, so this our next guest is, I am super psyched to have them here. These 2 ladies, and I'm saying ladies, they're very nice ladies. One of his name is Leanne Marrama. She's a full-time psychic and co-owner of Pentagram Shop, who's out in Salem, Massachusetts. And also Sandra Mariah Wright, who owns a business as well called Gallows Hill Witchery and manages the largest annual psychic fair in the county and the country, actually, in Salem, Massachusetts as well. And they're both here, and I am psyched to have them on. Thank you, ladies. Let's bring them on in here. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having us on.
We're psyched. And you know what? I want to tell you that I'm a big fan of Salem. I've driven through there a few times and stopped a few times in Salem, and it's a very mystical, kind of cool kind of town. And when it comes to people calling people witches, there's a lot of misnomers about what witches may be, and that's why we like to have you on here. We have a couple questions that we'd like to ask you about being a witch. First of all, Wicca, which is usually defined as a nature-oriented religion having rituals and practices derived from pre-Christian religious beliefs. That's to my understanding. What is the difference between Wicca, magic, and with a K, and just magic? That was my first question, and then I'd like to know about divination.
Well, magic, honestly, I think some people started spelling magic with a K merely to differentiate it from stage magic. So the idea of, pulling a rabbit out of a hat or making somebody disappear and that sort of thing, pulling cards out of your sleeve and what have you. The difference between that and the act of magic of using your will to manifest changes that you want in your life. So that's, using the power that we all have inherently within us if we develop it to make change. That's the difference between magic, and some people want to put magic with a K to differentiate it in the written word. So.
And divination?
Divination, it is definitely using your psychic ability to plot and plan for the future. It opens up your life like a map, and it allows us to see what's coming up, because our lives aren't written in stone. Nothing is predestinated. We head for the future, sometimes blindly. So using divination tools like tea leaf reading, tarot, pendulum work, it helps us prepare and to change what's coming up next.
Peasy, why can't we start at the beginning? I don't even know where these women come from, how they got into this. You know,
I'm sorry, it's a good point.
Their families like it, they dislike it. You know, does anybody?
Good point.
That's
why you're here, Michael.
That's right. Thank you.
Okay. Hi.
I got a spell on you.
So, yeah, it's crazy. So my parents, my family, they are Italian Catholics. I was raised Catholic. Something in me wanted a faith that I had more control of, more of a hand, more of a voice. I, since a little child, connected very deeply with divine feminine and the Blessed Mother. And I can't even explain how it all happened, but I was very drawn to witchcraft and magic. And I fortunately had this loving support of my family as I made religious and spiritual choices. My path started a little older in life. I had practice. I had what people would call dabble in my 20s and in my high school years. And then I had children very young, and I put that all aside and became like a soccer mom. I was doing all the first communions and things like that. But magic, witchcraft, and the old gods kind of called me back. And that's when I met Sandra. And then we started making magic, working together for years, running events, sharing our knowledge, our family ancestry, and our passion for the craft with other people. And now today we wrote a book called Reading the Leaves, and we are finished with our second book, Lighting the Wick, and we are in the process of the third. And that to help people understand and learn about divination, magic, manifestation, and their own powers.
My path was a little different because I was brought up here in Salem. And also, even though, my grandparents were Catholic, my mom had left the church, and she was more of what I might call like a white lighter. She was interested in astrology and channeling, and sort of the more a metaphysical side of things. And so she kind of got me started and curious, and then I went did deep dive into witchcraft. So, but from a young age, I was fascinated. So from the time of about 11, I was deciding that I was definitely just going to do magic and be a witch. I can remember walking into Laurie Cabot's shop and buying my first spell components and doing my first spell. And I was in middle school when I did that. So, and then just following it through the years and, learning different traditions within witchcraft, and then eventually teaching those traditions, and then coming to meet Leanne and doing, through some events that I was involved with and that I'm still involved with in the Festival of the Dead in Salem for the month of October. And then forming that alliance with Leanne and doing tons of events together, and then writing books together, and and running a coven. And Leanne runs her own coven, and so we're members of the community, and sort of leading the way for people, educating people all the time in the stores that we run here in Salem, and being able to get out there and do awesome radio shows like this where we get to talk to people about what we do.
Hey, Peasy, that the spells must work, because she actually married Mr. Wright So there must be
Very
something
funny.
to that.
Touche on that one, Mr. Sosa.
You have a question?
You know what I
Mr.
wonder?
Peasy?
Can you actually? I know when as a kid growing up, I always thought about all the movies about witches, and I know I'm sure it's clearly not what it really is all about. It's all about what you really do. That's
What do you mean, like
intentions.
Eye of
So-
Newt and Toad and this
Yeah,
stuff?
right. But can I used to remember seeing that they had the satanic circle, and then there was raising a demon. Is that actually possible to raise a demon?
You know,
That's a big question.
we don't. That's not necessarily the type of magic that Leanne and I practice.
Yeah.
There are some people out there who fancy that sort of thing on a Saturday night. That's not just how we want to spend the time. You know, it's like, hey, you know, but Satanism is a separate thing.
Yes, it is. No disrespect.
It's separate, no disrespect,
No
but
disrespect.
it is a separate thing from what we do.
I did that with my 2 kids.
You did, you
I
did. You
did.
raised 2 demons.
I raised 2 demons.
Yeah, she did.
I have 2 of them. They're cute.
Kevin and Elizabeth.
Yeah.
Actually, there must be a lot of people doing this sort of magic, because if you look in politics, there's tons of demons that are out there controlling the whole world, as far as I'm concerned.
Well,
Oh, that's really fun.
just in case people don't understand what actual ritual is, our rituals are to either celebrate or to create magic, just like people do in church. We're either honoring or blessing or giving respect to entities, or we're celebrating the seasons, just like
Now,
for Christmas, you're celebrating winter. A part of what you're doing is celebrating winter and the return of the sun. We're doing the same thing.
so the way that you are doing this in a positive way, I'm sure that there are some people that practice witchcraft for a negative outcome or direction. Is that true?
Well, you know, you'd be surprised, because I think the idea of positive and negative is interesting. You know, it's like the idea between good and evil, the idea between positive and negative. When people say, well, what's the difference between white magic and black magic? Or how do I know this is white magic or black magic? And I say, magic doesn't have color. So you think about a hammer. It's a hammer. Now, I can pick it up and help you build a house with it, or I can pick it up and whack you over the head with it. In the end, it's just a hammer. It's not a black hammer or a white hammer. It's not a good hammer or a bad hammer. The way I use it is how we qualify that. You know, what is my intention? What am I trying to do? Now, some people would say, well, is a love spell like black magic or white magic? And I say, well, let's take a look at it. Is that love spell manipulating someone else into loving you? Or is that love spell magnifying your desire to bring the right partner into your life? Because I can tell you right now, one of those is very manipulative, and the other one is about empowering yourself and opening yourself up to a situation that you're desiring. And the difference there is consent. And so the kind of energy that you put out when you're trying to make someone who doesn't have desire for you, to make them desire you, that's not good. That's a very difficult spell to maintain, because the kind of energy that you would need to put out there to maintain, to get somebody to be with you that doesn't really want to be with you, why would you want to do that when you could shine a beacon magically so that the right person who's going to fall in love with you, not for who you glamour them into thinking you are, but literally to love you for you. Why would you not want to draw that person into your life who's going to want to be there, who's not going to want to leave, who's going to fall in love with you for who you exactly are, not based on some funky spell that you cast, but based on who you actually are on the inside, and they're going to fall in love with you for you. That's the kind of magic we want to do. We want to give people the opportunity to live their best life, but we're not going to try to do it by forcing something to happen. We're going to do it by having that person's true will be manifest. And there's a way to do that without necessarily having to change the mind of anybody else. It's about the luck of the opportunity. It's about, you know people that are happy in their relationships. I'm sure you also know some people that are not. And so what we want to do is make sure that when people are looking for relationships, they're going to get the right one. They're going to both feel lucky. They're going to feel equally connected, equally into it. You know what I mean? That's the kind of bond we're looking to make the magic happen with, not necessarily ensnaring somebody that doesn't want to be with you, you know? So when you're talking about the difference between like a good spell and a bad spell, or the kinds of, when you say, oh, I bet some people use magic for the wrong reasons. Yes, and sometimes it's not as, you know, as cut and dried as saying, oh, I cursed that person. Well, of course, cursing someone is considered like a bad spell. But I'm saying there are people out there that use what they perceive of as to be white magic, but in all actuality, it's still a manipulative form of magic. And so we gotta look at the ethics in a whole new way here, and we have to understand what's doable and what's really not doable with magic, whether that's with a C or a K. And some people spell it with a K, and in part, I think that's kind of to differentiate it from like stage magic, like, you know, I pull a rabbit out of a hat, I make a girl disappear, that kind of thing. So in some places you're going to see it with the K, and that is, in some people's minds, that differentiates it from the other uses of the word magic.
And imagine if you want a new job. When in the moment that you want a new job, that means, let's say you do a spell to get that new career, that job you've always wanted it. When you get that, someone else is not.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, how it's all in perception of the person doing it, you know.
Yeah, the reason I brought that up is because there was a woman from my old neighborhood that was not really a good woman, and if she didn't like you, she would go to some other woman and try to put some kind of spell on you so that bad things would happen to you. So I was just, I mean, obviously, if you can do it for the good, you can do it for the bad, obviously. But I just want to know, like, if the person that you're putting a bad spell on doesn't believe in it, does it still work?
You know, you bring up something interesting, because in a lot of cases, when you tell somebody, like, oh, you know, I'm going to put a bad spell on you, I'm going to curse you, whatever, part of it is really them internalizing that, and then suddenly they're taking every little thing. They get cut off in traffic. Oh, it's because I got cursed. You know, they go to the store and that thing that they wanted is out of stock. Oh, it's because I got cursed. Like every little tiny inconvenience of life gets suddenly related. And we have had clients come in and say, like, I think there's a curse on me because this happened and that happened and this happened. And honestly, 9 times out of 10, it really doesn't have anything to do with any curse. And luck is really perception. In a lot of cases, luck is perception and abundance is perception, whether we are coming from a place of love or a place of lack, you know? So do I think that there's magic out there that can actually cause a detriment to someone? Yes. If I believe that there's magic out there that can bring the good, I have to acknowledge that there's magic out there that can bring the bad. And hopefully people use their powers for good, just like we see on superhero shows and everything else. You want to believe that if somebody gets really good at making magic happen, that they're going to want to use that to make their life better and to make the lives of those they love better. If I had the power to, you know, if you gave me 3 wishes right now, none of them would be to bring something bad on someone. All of them would be like, I'd be wishing for good things for myself, my family, my loved ones, my friends. You know, I wouldn't be using any of those wishes for negative things. I'd be saying, oh, wow, okay, what can I do with this? I'm going to bring about the good. So it's really, unfortunately, a person in their own personal, you know, what they've got going on inside of them, that's going to drive how they interact with the world of magic. We're always going to have what we call good people. We're always going to have what we might consider to be bad people. But honestly, that's an oversimplification. You know, Hitler was a vegetarian and a painter. I mean, it's like you can't, there's no way to categorize somebody as either good, or all bad. It's like everyone is everyone's got that personal alchemy going on where how they're going to choose to use this once they learn how to do it is going to be driven by their own ethics. It's you know, we definitely have ethics in the craft, just like every religion has its golden rule.
That's what I was just thinking about. My guess, by the way, Leanne, that's really great. This is a really great explanation of what you're saying. It's a really good explanation because I'm digesting this. But my first thought is that you said it's your intention. Well, isn't intention everything? Isn't intent like I intend all kinds of things, and that draws into what I put my attention on something every day, I wake up and say I want a Cadillac. I mean, and a year from now I have a Cadillac. So it's your intentions create your reality. So I would imagine that in witchcraft, is it this enhancing your intentions? Is it growing it quicker? Is it aiding it? Is it, and then the other thought I'm thinking about as well is does it speed it up? And then also if you're a person that's non-egotistical maybe, or not very narcissistic, and you're using magic, I'm assuming that it would be used more for good than it would be for bad. If you're a person if you want to draw a person into your life that you're in love with, and it's all about you, of course it's going to be harder to draw in a person like that because it's about you. It's not about them. It's serving yourself. It's not serving the others. So if you're in service of everyone, your intentions have to be coming from a person that's well balanced and non-narcissistic and non-egotist. I know I'm making a statement, but the question, I guess the question is,
you're manifesting what's inside of yourself. Good people manifest good things, and they focus daily on how to grow their lives and the people around them. When you are so hell-bent on making someone miserable, guess what? That comes back to you. It's not some silly little threefold law. You're spending all your days doing nothing but cursing and ranting and raving. What are you growing? Imagine your life like a plot of earth. And if you're feeding it clean water, you're going to grow something beautiful and strong. If you are feeding your life with putrid, with hate, with jealousy, and you want simply what other people have, and you're running around cursing this one and that one, well, you're not going to grow anything. You're going to grow weeds, and you're going to think about why you want that Cadillac, for safety, transportation, and maybe you just want to be, driving an awesome car. But just keep on projecting for that, but also get up in the morning and go to work. You're not going to get a Cadillac, let's be honest here, if you don't have money. So you have to center your life around to working extra hours. What are the things you're going to do in your mundane life to manifest what is good? That's what magic is. You're putting, you're taking that spell, you're taking that wish, that prayer, and you're actually backing it up with real action in the real world. Yep. How are you going to get it?
Are we talking about? But talking about the same thing, though. So if a person is religious Christian, and they say, I go every day and pray to be healthy. I pray to be this. They're putting out an intention to the universe to bring back in their lives what they want. Well, then witchcraft would be really no different. Would it not be?
But we're not asking for it to come from outside of ourselves. We're changing ourselves. We are doing personal alchemy to change our lives, to bring that thing to us. We know that we have to do the work to whatever that is. So it's like, let's say you're doing a spell to get a new job. You hate your job, you want a new job. Well, you don't just sit at home and light a candle and go, okay, a new job's going to land in my lap. But maybe you light that candle and now you're looking on Indeed or wherever you do your job search, and you're watching the candle flame and you're looking at different jobs, and the candle starts flickering and you're like, ooh, this is a hot one. I'm going to apply to this one. And it's guiding you. It's giving you guidance on. And of course, if you want that new job, you've got to have qualifications. So maybe now you're saying, okay, now I need to study because I need to take this certain test to qualify for this job. So now I'm using a citrine stone, or I'm lighting a candle every night while I'm studying, and I'm focusing my energy. I'm focusing, and I'm going to get the best score on that test, and I'm going to blow people away in that interview, and I'm going to get that job above somebody else because of all the effort that I put into it, because I know when I'm walking in there, I have so much confidence in myself because I've put in the work. Let's face it, when we're looking to manifest something, it's a scientific fact. The more we think about, talk about, and plan for something, the greater the likelihood that it's actually going to happen. Magic is a way for us to focus our intent and our energy. The power is within us. We're not asking for Sky Father to drop it in our lap. We're saying, I have the power to do this, and I'm supporting myself with these tools of witchcraft so that I have the balls to go out and get this thing that I really want, so that I have, I have the strength, the courage, the energy, the wherewithal, the focus. I'm going after this, whatever it is. I'm going to do what it takes to get this, and this is going to keep me on my toes while I'm going out to get it. And honestly, I've seen people be like, well, I went home and I lit a candle and it didn't happen. It's like, well, how much work did you really put in? You lit one candle. Is that going to just suddenly make it happen? Probably not. You really do have to back it up with your personal, you've got to put your personal will into it. Magic is a way to manifest change through your personal will, the power of you, that will that's inside of you. Magic helps you bring that out. It helps you hone your psychic abilities so that when you're looking at those job postings or when you're swiping right or whatever on your dating app, you're going to get that tingle when it's the right person. You're going to say, ooh, I feel like this is the right person, or I feel like this is the right job, or I feel like this is the right situation for me. I'm going to go for it. Because people make bad decisions all the time. Magic's going to help you get better at those decisions. That's why people come to Leanne and I for readings, because they want guidance from someone that's so tapped into that we can guide them through. It's like a roadmap to what you want. We're going to guide you through those opportunities. We're going to help you decide when you're going to kiss it, when are you going to kill it. Because things come at you every day. Opportunities and things are coming at you all the time. So making the right choices is going to set your life apart from somebody that is down in the dumps and thinking nothing good ever happens to me. But you're going to be able to go out there and capitalize on things. You're going to see opportunities and know that they're the right ones for you. That's part of what magic does for you. That's part of what, psychic information that you're going to get from being more in tune. That's what it's going to bring you.
I remember hearing, I think it was Deepak Chopra years ago, I read his book, and there was like the 3 different ways to draw something into your life. And I remember the first one, I think the example was if you wanted a bowl of strawberry ice cream, you could send somebody to the store, say, I feel like having it, you send somebody to the store to get it. Or wish and wish and wish and hope, and then you walk into a kitchen and it's like, hey, there's a bowl of strawberry ice cream. How did that happen? What a coincidence. And then there's 3 that you make the intention so strong that it just appears in front of you like magic, if you will. I remember I put a lot of thinking into that 1, 2, 3 kind of combination of intention. And I love the idea of being able to make things appear out of thin air by magic, if you will. And it seems to me, as you're talking about it, you're making a really great case, but I like to know, does it speed up your intentions to have things brought into your life more quickly by your magic?
I feel like that's part of the way that we identify other witches in the community is by taking a look at their lives. Like, what are the fruits of their labors? And we call it the zap.
Yep.
And so when we see somebody that is really manifesting their best life, they're happy, they're healthy, they feel, when you get around them, you can see the glow, and we say, that person has the zap. I can remember a very close friend of ours, when she first started following the path of witchcraft and she was first initiated, she went into work and a woman at her work said, do you have a boyfriend? And she said, what do you mean, do I have a boyfriend? You know I'm married. And she said, I know you're married. Do you have a boyfriend? She said, no, I don't have a boyfriend. Why would you ask me that? She said, I don't know. You just glow lately. You look happy all the time. You used to come in here like looking like you hated life. She's like, now you have a glow about you. And she equated it with having a new lover. But that was she could see the glow of magic on her, and it was transforming her as a person. It was bringing her inner light out where other people could actually see it. And we're starting to notice the change in her physically, the look on her face, the glint in her eye, the spring in her step, all the things we talk about when somebody's experiencing something so dramatic as a new love relationship or something. And that's all the woman could think about was maybe she's fallen in love with someone. She'd fallen in love with herself, and she was exploring, empowering herself through magic. And I do think that I feel like, when I look around at people that I think are really proficient in the craft, they do make some amazing things happen. They manifest incredible things. And the opportunities just keep coming. Leanne and I wear, how many hats do Leanne and I wear right now?
Incredible.
And more stuff just keeps coming, you know, and it's just like, because we've put the work in with spell work, but speaking with ancestors, speaking with people who have crossed over, we've been actively connected with the dead and people that have crossed over and working with the dead since 2002. We're coming up on 20 solid years of actively communicating with the people on the other side who want to see us succeed. They want to see us happy and they want to see us achieve the things we want. And so not only are we perhaps using the tools of magic, we also have kind of a team on the other side cheering us on and guiding us as well. And that's a big part of it. And that's why in all the books that we write, we always talk about the power of mediumship and the idea of speaking with people on the other side, because they are our cheering section in spirit. They are the friends and family that loved us dearly and want to help us. And so forming a relationship with them and being able to communicate with them on the other side is a big part of what we do as well.
I mean, let me ask you something. So that brings me to now to, that's a good segue into this one. So being up in Salem and being a medium and have the ability to connect, contact, talk with, whatever the words you want to use, to people that have passed over, there has to be, what I would think, a lot of tortured souls in Salem. I mean, there's a lot of that come through.
The energy of Salem and the spirits that have left Salem that were tortured, and I would say over the years through Salem itself's diligent respect, honoring them every year through the witch memorials and the things that the witches and the city officials have done to rectify the wrongs of the past, have changed the energy of these lost souls or broken spirits that were here. I feel the healing and the transformation every time I do a mediumship reading, or even just simply to connect with the spirit of place. It's changed. It's changed. There is forgiveness on the other side. There is a point that when we die, I believe people can let go of being wronged.
They definitely see things from a whole other perspective. You gain a whole other perspective when you're on the other side.
Yeah.
And I actually grew up on Gallows Hill, so I grew up where the people here were hanged. And I've grown up in that energy. A lot of people will say to me, "Ooh, as a witch living in Salem, you must really feel that energy. Like, does that energy bother you? Do you get overwhelmed by it?" I say, well, I think I'm just acclimated to it because I've just been here and living in it. But I definitely have done a lot of work. We both have at different times to connect with those spirits. And I feel like we have done our level best to, to be able to say that, that we are creating an environment where that will never happen again. We say, never again the burning is one of the chants. And it's like, yeah, we're working, we're the living, and we're here working on making sure that religious persecution does not take place here, and that we are welcoming to people and that, we're welcoming of different faiths, not just witchcraft, but different faiths in general. And the idea that, that we can all coexist, that not every religion is for every person, and that's okay. Different cultures and different, just different people have different beliefs, and that's okay.
Speaking of which, do you mind if I ask you a couple of quick? I'm very frustrated that this show only does 60 minutes. I really would like to make this 3 hours and really get deep dive. Unfortunately, I don't know, time doesn't permit, and I have you got to bring you guys back and really get deep. But I want to ask you a couple of quick questions. If you could just, I guess, give quick answers to them, because we have a limited on time right now. Because I was thinking about a lot of this today before we did the interview, and I'd like to know, I guess, one of the first questions is, can you tell us how this could be used to increase your health and other aspects of your life, number one?
manifest your health.
Yes.
When you focus on your health in what you're eating and what you're drinking, and having what you're putting in your body will come out. It helps. And meditation, paying attention, and that ability to focus on your own well-being rather than others. That's
for us, it was understanding the mind, body, spirit connection, and understanding that in order to continue to be here and do this work on this planet, we needed to take care of these houses that we're all walking around in. And for me, one thing that helped was focusing on the elements, because I love the elements so much. And so the idea that water, like the purity of water, making sure I got my water intake, for earth, the salt, the solidity of, the solid food that I was eating. What was that? Was it quality food from the earth? Whole foods, the idea of fresh foods and the kinds of things that the earth provides for us, the idea of fire, right? So the idea of that element and the vigor, to get up and, and move my body. And maybe that's for different people. It doesn't necessarily have to be going to the gym, but getting out there and moving our bodies to be more flexible, to me, so that we can enjoy our passions for longer, you know what I mean? And and also air, our breathing. Sometimes just taking a meditative, breath in the morning, like even if it's just for a few minutes, taking some nice deep meditative breaths in the morning when we first wake up, and then right before we go to sleep, taking that air. That's the air portion. So there's the classic elements of earth, air, fire, and water all working for us. We get very in deep with the elements in the craft. And so knowing how to make those work for us, I think, is helping our physical bodies.
What about divination? What is divination?
It is seeing into the future and putting that information into your own life to actually create the map that you want for yourself. It is, our future is not written in stone. We are in control of our own future. So when you go seek counsel with a psychic, or even look yourself, like divination, like a teacup, if you're doing tea leaf readings, you use that as a guide or a map to your own life to see what you want to change. It empowers a person to make the right choices and to know what's coming up so you can be prepared.
And what about gender? There's male and female priest, high priestess. Now, you ladies are high priestess, but I understand there's male and female. How does gender involve in being a high priestess? Does it matter male or female, or it does not?
So the idea of gender polarity is different than the idea of gender expression on your physical body. So some people definitely feel like they are maybe more one gender than another. Other people may feel like they can't decide necessarily on one of those two genders that we've kind of been, raised with. So there, yes, in the traditions, which were created many years ago, at least our traditions are from, say, the 50s. So that's the 1950s that our traditions kind of got codified. So they do have some sort of outdated ideas in them, as you would expect, because they got codified back in the 50s. Don't mind the sirens. In some traditions, they like to really follow those guidelines, and they follow them to the T. And some groups have decided that because those guidelines were codified at a certain time, that those guidelines are out of date and need to be updated. It's ultimately up to each coven, which has its own coven autonomy, make its decision on if it's going to go by the letter or if it's going to go by the feeling of everyone that's in the coven. It matters most to the people that are in that coven that they can all agree, because when you're in a coven together, it's kind of a hive mind moment where you all need to be rowing the boat in the same direction. As long as everyone in the coven agrees on what's happening, that's the most important part. Everyone has to agree on it. So it's a consensus between everyone in the coven. Are we going to say, like, okay, to be a high priestess, you need to have been born and consider yourself a certain gender? or not, and as long as everybody in that group is going to agree on that consensus, then that's up to them. We're not going to police their groups. We don't expect their groups to come police ours. It's different. That's another way that it's different than a lot of mainstream religions, because there isn't any one person in charge of all of this. Period. No pope. Nope. No pope. We don't have a pope.
You know what's interesting too. Mike, I was reading all these things about like the Illuminati, these high tier things, and it says that in order for people to do harm or do whatever it is they're going to do, whether it's good or bad, they have to put out what they're going to do and let you see it for your consensus, which is just what you're just speaking about a moment ago, Sandra. So consensus needs to be given of the sheep in order for them to be fooled or taken advantage of. Or I'm not saying that's about witchcraft, but I'm asking like the question, do you need the consensus of people in order for make a spell work? In other words, if I want something really bad from that person, and even if it's not in their best interest, can you still make that happen? Do you need do I need their consensus in order for that to happen?
If you were going to have your coven work towards something, good or bad, if you bring that to the coven on any particular night and you say, like, for instance, one time we had somebody that had a baby that was needing a heart surgery, and she brought it, and we had two covens that happened to be meeting simultaneously in the same space, and she brought this and she said, can we please work on behalf of the baby? Every person there needed to agree to work on that baby's behalf, which we all did. That child is still alive today, by the way. But anyways, hello, shout out to Baby Justice. Anyway, what I'm saying is that if I were going to bring that to my coven and say, I want to do, some evil spell against this person over here. Yeah, you would need every single person in the coven to agree to that, to be able to channel that power against that person. I'd be really shocked if you'd get somebody's approval on that. However, there is an old tale about how Gerald Gardner got the New Forest Coven to work against the Nazis, and they failed. And so there is an old tale about Gerald Gardner getting the coven together and fighting the Nazis, and the Nazis failing.
Yes,
so I guess if you get somebody heinous enough, and you get everybody working against, if you get everybody's agreement to work against them, then yeah,
understood.
I guess.
But the question is, do you need the consensus of the person that you're putting the spell on?
No. Well, to be ethical, yes, you do. To be ethical, even if you're going to send healing to someone, to be truly ethical, you need their permission. Now, this is waived when that person's unconscious. And so you send them the healing and you say with the caveat, if you so desire it, it is here for you. We are sending you this healing energy. If you so desire it, it is here for your taking. Even when that person is unconscious, you're speaking to their higher self. Their higher self isn't unconscious. So you're speaking to their higher self and saying, we are sending you this energy. If you so wish it, take it. But yes, even if I was going to send love magic to someone, even if I was going to send whatever kind of magic, good or ill, if you want to be ethical, yes, you're going to ask that person's permission. And if I have an enemy, let's say I'm a person with an enemy and I want to go ahead and work against my enemy, no, I'm not going to ask them. They're not going to say yes, that's for sure. So it's sort of like, I don't know. You know what I mean? Hey, can I put a negative spell on you? Sure. Yeah. Who's going to say yes to that? But yeah, if you want to be ethical, even if you were wishing something good for someone, you would do it. You would do it with their consent.
And here's another thing. I mean, God, I think about all the things that could be done good or bad or consent, or there is so much crap that people have done that, I don't know, it just harms yourself too. So why would you not want to? There's plenty of stuff that you can do as a witch, but you shouldn't.
Yeah, you probably wouldn't.
You shouldn't.
The cost would be too high. There's a price for everything. And so
that's the next question. Does it come back? What you put out comes back as if you put a spell out that's good or bad, does that come back to you? Is it a circular thing?
Karma.
Reciprocal?
If all you're putting out is crap, you're going to get crap back.
Look, it's not as easy. It's not don't have a vending machine mentality where it's like I put my quarter in, I get my thing out. So if I do something bad, it automatically comes right back. It's not fast in most cases. It's not like instant karma is going to get you, thank you, the Beatles. But I'm saying like, it's, sometimes it takes time. But yes, if all you're doing is being a jerk all the time, people are going to start treating you like a jerk. And you're not going to have the opportunities, the invitations, the support. We are a community. We are a linked community. And if this pandemic taught us nothing else, it taught us just how dependent we truly are on each other. And so we do need to have the goal should be to have everyone, to raise everyone up and to have everyone have a better life. There's no reason to tear other people down. You don't need to tear people down to raise yourself up. And we should want to raise everyone up. When other people are happy, the world is an easier place to live in. Why wouldn't we want that? Why wouldn't we want that? To want anything less is short-sighted.
But the way I feel about maybe miserable people or nasty or jerks or whatever, when there's somebody like and there's people that I really don't like because they're really not good people. But instead of me saying, I wish that person died or crashed or something, I wish them a very long life, because if you're miserable, the longer you live, the longer you're going to be miserable. So that's what I figure.
Right. The old Chinese curse, may you live in interesting times. That whole thing.
Correct. And then also I was thinking about that, what you said about the baby or something. Would the baby need a heart transplant or something?
Yeah, heart surgery.
Okay, heart surgery. Okay. So what if someone with a baby said, hey, listen, my baby needs a new heart, and can you help me? Now it's like this double-edged sword, because you got to hope, or not hope, or have another little baby pass away to have a new heart for the other baby. So you're like, that's a quandary. So I don't know, you think people would agree to that spell?
So I guess what I'm saying is, thankfully, it was not a transplant. I don't even know if you could do a heart transplant on a newborn, but thankfully it was a heart surgery, not a transplant.
Yeah, maybe it was a 5-year-old or a 4-year-old.
Let's say it was an adult.
Whatever.
Yeah, let's say it was an adult or something, and that you're saying, we're on the transplant list. We're on the transplant list. Please come through. Please come through. You're not asking necessarily for anybody's arc in this plane to change, right? You're not really saying, hey, let's have somebody get in a car crash so my kid can have a heart. But somebody is going to get in a car, like, you can guarantee it. There's not a day goes by that we don't have somebody in a car crash in this country. So that's gonna happen. So when it does, can it please be timed so that my kid can get the benefit of it? We know already people are gonna die. And we know already that they may or may not be on the transplant list. So now you're hoping if and when that person does die, please let them be on the transplant list. Please let their heart be safe for my child. Please let this happen, in the best possible fashion. And it's like, you're not saying like, oh, I hope this kid that I don't like winds up in a car crash so my kid can have a heart. You're basically saying the law of averages and what we know about people dying every day is somebody is going to die today. Could that be somebody that could help my child? That's all you're asking. You're not asking to make somebody die, but you're saying, we know this is going to happen. Could it happen in a way that it makes my child live? Could it be possible for that to help my child?
It's a good point. It's like the stock market or when we buy cryptocurrencies. It's the exact same thing. In order for me to make money, if I say I want to buy a Bitcoin for $35,000, in order for me to make money, it has to go to 40 so I could take my profit. And as I take my profit, somebody else that bought into 40 is losing right now. Somebody has to lose in order for you to win in the market of money. Mm-hmm. Then it's almost the same thing here. It's almost like somebody has to lose in order for you to win in a spell. If its spell is helping one person, it has to hurt someone else. It's almost like the world. There's 2 + 2, it's always 4. It's like the world does. This is the way it works. No matter how you twist it, it's always going to be a winner and a loser based on intentions of someone or what's going on, whatever the need, the pull between the two polarities, is. Let me ask you another question.
Okay.
Yes.
I was going to say, you're hoping you're hoping that the way it works is that nature, because nature doesn't care. Like it's a balanced situation. Nature's not going to care, if you get one and the other person doesn't. Nature's not looking and going like, okay, you are the one with the 35,000 and the other person's the 40. It's like what you'd hope would happen is that somebody that has it to give is the one to give it. So if somebody, let's say there's a homeless person on the side of the street, and I'm walking down the street and I have $20 in my wallet, and this other person's walking down the street and they have $10 in their wallet. What you'd hope is that I'm going to give the homeless person $10 so that now the balance is equal. That person has 10, I have 10, and the other person walking down the street has 10. What winds up happening half the time is that person's homeless, they're asking for money, the person that only has $10 in their pocket goes ahead and gives it to them. Now there's two people with a zero balance, and I'm still walking away with the 20. So like what you're hoping to happen is that it finds the right path, that it finds it so that each person has something, you know what I mean? So that you're not like stealing from one to give to the other. And now you've got a situation on this side where this person now has nothing. All you've done is moved who has nothing. That doesn't help the situation. What you're hoping is that there's some kind of an imbalance that can be corrected and brought back into an equilibrium. That's what you're hoping. So you're not asking for someone who's like got a perfectly good life going on to suddenly die to give that heart. You're hoping that, well, this person was passing anyway, whatever, however the situation is, and now we can maybe make something better over here about it. You know what I mean? So you're not trying to like edge somebody out and make somebody have nothing. You're just basically trying to say like, gee, can some of that bounty come my way? Don't like steal it from another person, but like, can I have the bounty? You know what I mean? Can I have some bounty and share in this bounty? Because when we
it's
just
the Biden
take from
tax
other
plan.
people, yeah.
I was just thinking about that.
In my mind, I was like, wait a minute, this is starting to sound familiar to me. It's like, wait a second.
Sandra was just redistributing wealth.
Right.
But she did preface it by saying that the person wanted to give it, not that someone took it from them.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
It's a little different. It's a little different.
Right. Yeah. And that's a really great point. That's the point we don't get. Now, I only have a couple more minutes here before we go. And just real quickly, what would you say if somebody is very religious, Christian, Hindu, whatever they may be, and they look at your craft or your religion or your art? I'm not really sure which this falls in. I think it's religion. When they look at you and they say they think of you as being evil, what do you say to that? And what is it? Is it a craft? Is it a religion? Or is it a
it's a religion. And I would say you don't know me. You don't know me. Get to know me. And then you can judge whether I'm evil or not.
But ultimately, she's right. You can't judge somebody by what their practice is. You just can't.
It's just a good question because people are.
That's why we have pedophile priests in the world.
People are very judgmental, and when you hear the word witch, high priestess, it summons up all the propaganda media that's given you the whole witch thing going on. And I'm speaking to you two ladies, and you seem to be very nice people, and I'm not judging you in any way. But I'm saying if I even say to
he's
people,
kissing your ass.
we're interviewing two witches, they're going to be like, what? Like, what are you talking about? And you ladies seem great. And I want to have you come back and really deep dive much more into this in the future, if you don't mind. But we only have another minute or two left. So we want to promote and tell people about the places to see Sandra and Leanne. One is pentagramsalem.com, and the other is...
on Facebook, Gallows Hill Witchery.
On Facebook.
Yep, on Facebook.
What books should we, as a rudimentary person, look at and start?
Yep, the first one's Reading the Leaves. That's going to get everybody in touch with their intuition. And then the second book that comes out September 7th is Lighting the Wick. And Lighting the Wick is definitely a more of a spell book. It's about using candle magic to get what you want out of life, live a better life.
You ladies are wonderful and a delightful
Thank
couple,
you.
and I really appreciate that you spent some time, and I really hope that
I'm
you will
going to
come
raise
back.
my hand. Peasy, can you not hear me? I love that. I'm very spiritual. I love all of that stuff, and I get good vibes. very intuitive. So I would really love to go there. I think we should do that, please. All right. As long as they have us.
First of all, I'm doing comedy gigs. I'm always driving through Boston and going up to New Hampshire. I just got a gig for, I think, October 2nd in New Hampshire. I'm going to do a comedy theater or something. So, I mean, which is, by the way, a great time to go up there in October, because that's like when everything starts really moving. The leaves are changing. It's beautiful up there. And you girls know that's the time when the town becomes really busy. You're in the middle of October, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's
all
the
right,
season.
so check
they won't have time to
check these girls out.
We would love to read your tea leaves. Yeah.
Come on up. We'll go to the North End and get some Italian food.
We'll go to Mike's. Well, no, modern pastry's better.
Can't scare me. Well, you ladies of delight, please come back.
Thank you. We will. We'll be back. Have us.
You got it. Thank you so much. Once again, you know where to see them. We also want to thank our Leland, our producer, and also we'd like to thank John Galasso, who books all of our talent, who has a wonderful book out called A Smile, a Grin, a Laugh, That's Life. And you can get it at justlaugh.org. You can see me at johnpizzi.com, and you can see Mikey Sausage getting his tea leaves read in Salem, Massachusetts.
All right, Peasy. See you later, my boy.
Take it easy, brother.